would win, a nightmarish rat horror fueled by the chaotic dark magic of their god, or one of my idiot subscribers? After collecting enough of you in the basement as my videos have popped off, I thought it was time to answer that question in Darkest Dungeon with the Vermintide mod that adds new areas, items, and the horrific rat horde that aim to overrun our hamlet. Could you, my viewers, close the warp portal and defeat the list of new Vermintide bosses before too many of you are crushed, melted, or die from syphilis? Let's find out. But first, we need to reach the hamlet via a stage coach driven by a deranged, anorexic senior citizen. Surely nothing can go wrong. We arrive at the hamlet with our first heroes, Istvank PC, our knight who constantly leaves good comments. Next was our bandit, Willip. This guy is the bane of my community and my #1 hater. I am praying an 18-ton rat crushes his head. Foreshadowing is a literary device. Next, our witch doctor, the one who knocks. This bloke is glazing my Johnson silly style. Fair play. And rounding out our first team, Flopper Gaming Chair, our cleric. Some of you really need to work on your gamer tags, and that's coming from a guy called YoloCat. This is our first team who we can send on expeditions into the dark and dangerous dungeons to fight back against the hordes of monsters that host decrepit gangbangs without inviting me. Battle enough of these guys and we get a shot at their boss, and hopefully bring back some good loot along the way. To do any of this, we need a well-organized team. Putting the right characters in the right positions, as certain abilities can only be used in the right spot. For example, our muscly, strong, and handsome knight isn't going to swing his girthy sword from the back of the room. Or another example, the closer I put Willip to the front line, the higher chance he has of dying. Foreshadowing is a literary device. These early expeditions were great, and surely things would only get easier in the game that warns you your characters will die. To enter the new area, the Warpstone Mines, we needed to complete 8 expeditions. This gave us time to put together 4 teams. First was Red Team, the 3 champions and 1 crackhead we've already discussed. But together these 4 make one of the most reliable compositions out there. Second was Blue Team. Gothic Pando, our buff man, J Glab, our second bandit, Boston Gamer 21, our pibble handler, and Gabe Luke, our second cleric. This team excels at bleeds, dodging, and washing bellies.
I am Pibble. Wash my belly. Wash my belly.
Third was Green Team. Paddy the Leaper, Robin the Tracker, Mex the Jonkler, and Nom another cleric. This team was built around hitting hard and jamming out to Mex playing the banjo. And finally our 4th team was Shadow Fang Midnight Death Squadron, a group of dysfunctional rejects that shit the bed, goof up runs, and yapped in my chat about how great they are. I am praying these characters die quickly and do not end up saving the entire run. Foreshadowing is a literary device. The 8 weeks of in-game time had passed, and the Vermintide was upon us. Our first mission into the depths went well, fighting basic clan rats, globadiers, and naked people that Balsac the dog would hit a fat elbow drop on while J Glab shot them in the hood, with Gothic Pando's leadership and Gabe Luke keeping the team going. Completing this run gets us our first Vermintide specific item. Trinkets and baubles can be earned as rewards or found mid-expedition, and they would always offer some form of bonus to the many mechanics that make this game work, just to watch your heroes shit themselves and die. But things were going good. Notably, no one had died. Flopper Gaming Chair got the perk Blessing of the Great Horned Rat. Even the Skaven God was rooting for you freakazoids. J Glab had Standard Bearer, a great perk that de-stresses allies, and we had no shortage of clerics. Multiple characters in this game can heal, but no one does it as good as a cleric. But the characters you get each week are random, so we were getting extremely lucky with enough to have one dedicated to each team. Hopefully that luck would hold as I send Green Team to deal with our first boss, the Doom Wheel. With only 95 health and 2 heavy hitters on our team with Robin and Paddy, backed by the buffs from Mex and the healing from Nom, this should be an easy introductory boss to the Skaven. It then did back-to-back full party cleaves while healing itself and shuffling our team. Shuffling heroes messes up what abilities they can use, meaning we couldn't heal Mex, who was on Death's Door. When a character reaches 0 HP, they don't die. Instead, they can fight on, rolling a dice each time they get hit to see if they survive that blow and keep fighting. Mex was then shot 500 times in the hood and died immediately. The dreaded Doom Wheel was defeated, but Mex, one of my longest running subscribers, was crushed like a vulnerable watermelon spotted by a thick-thighed woman. Truly, these dungeons were pretty dark. A consolation prize, however, was the Warlock Master Backpack, a powerful item that transfers bleeds and blights to one character, but increases their healing. Wacky items like this are what we need to make it through this run. Well, not Mex though, he's dead. Beating the first boss opens up the sewers, another new Skaven-filled area, and this being a mod, I had no idea what to expect down here. Like Plague Monks and this freakazoid debuffing the science team. My extra subscribers who didn't fit into any other team, like Dr. Pullout, with negative 200% healing. This team didn't get very far and almost had a Menti B from stress damage, but got us a really cool item. So A for effort from creation, Dr. Wily Coyote, Dr. Pullout, and Benny, the guy who has systematically ruined my Barotrauma videos for the last 3 years. Benny! Making him a cult member who summons eldritch horrors and damages my own team was too fitting. Speaking of fitting, we needed to fit a knuckle sandwich into the mouth of a storm vermin who has been terrorizing the hamlet. I sent in Red Team, who made it to the boss with little stress damage and full health. I then forced Willip to drink a combo of Warpstone and Holy Water. He'll either hit harder or explode. Only time will tell. Now, Storm Vermin are giant rat ogres with flamethrowers for arms, so I was a little surprised when I also had to fight the ceiling. Dealing enough damage to the stalagmite will make it unstable, distracting the Storm Vermin, making the gross baby creature stapled to his back vulnerable for big damage. If the roof survives one more turn in this position and then falls on the Vermin's head, stunning him.
Look! He killed me with a stun. A stun, he can't use a stun.
If this wasn't obvious to you, you are an idiot. Not these heroes, however, as they were headbutt to death's door and the one who knocks was crushed by a 20-ton flamethrower rat who followed up by melting Willip alive. Willip has been melted alive in front of us. Finally, Willip's gone. Holy. And it's just that easy, chat. Just hit the boss and he dies. I don't know why we were messing about so much. Red Team is officially cooked, losing 2 of its members. But 2 bosses were down. Some might call this a worthwhile trade, some might not. As Red Team went on standby, Green Team had the fallen mechs replaced with Loose the Goose. Robin and Loose for years have argued and talked shit to each other, so forcing them together in a video game like little dolls in my playhouse tickled something deep inside of me. I sent the new Green Team into the sewers, leveling it up and opening up a path forward to the next boss, the Plague Priest. I would need Green Team to take a rest, however, as each mission your heroes gain stress, diseases, and negative perks. All of this can be dealt with in the hamlet, but it will cost you gold and take that hero out of action for 1 week. This was a core part of the game, but unlucky for me, my heroes were you. Deranged freakazoids who collectively farmed 3 traits. Will only go to the brothel, is banned from the brothel, or gains more stress relief from the brothel.
Look at that tossing technique, beautiful.
Watching my entire roster get one of these 3 perks in real time live to an audience is easily the greatest measure of YouTube success. After dealing with the hot musk of the brothel, I needed a win. And I knew Blue Team could deliver. Finding the Plague Priest deep in the shit-covered sewers was at least a cleaner experience than seeing you lot at the brothel. The Plague Priest didn't have that much health, but you need to destroy his sensor to stop him healing. Doing so will mark the hero that did the final blow, stopping them from doing damage for the rest of the fight. The Plague Priest then spreads Blight, Stress, and adds a healing debuff for the rest of the fight. Some fights can go on for a long time in this game, but this one snowballs on the side of the priest, until Gothic Pando backhanded the Anthrax steroid rat in the sewer with the help of Balsac the dog. Baller move. Oh, he's the dog! 5 damage. Blue team takes the kill. And this is our first Vermintide boss kill without losing a hero. This team are truly the GOATs and will never die. Foreshadowing is a literary divide. I'm joking, said the jokester, as Gothic Pando, hot off his victory, was blown up in the hood by a warlock engineer who did half my team's health in 1 hit. This stresses out Gothic Pando so much he becomes hopeless and shits himself. When someone reaches 100 stress, they either have a mental breakdown or watch a gym hype video. One of these is hype, the other will ruin your run. Speaking of, I tried to heal him, but being hopeless, he refused said heal, thus he died to Skaven farts. This was bad. Blue team had lost its front line, and red team had lost its GUI center, so I squished them together, making red-blue team, with Istvank being the new tank and Flopper being a backup cleric. Not a flashy position, but it frees him up for more time at the brothel, while the rest of you have to fight the new, higher-tier Skaven units. As each boss and mission we clear, the harder things get. Much like the improved Doom Wheel we now had to fight. I send in red-blue team and they get absolutely smashed. Their damage comes from marking targets, which the bandit and dog catcher do extra damage to, but the Doom Wheel having 3 turns around removes the mark before anyone can use it. It is also more accurate the higher the light level. The higher your light in the room, the safer it is for your characters. But here it gives him a huge accuracy bonus. So we need to snuff out our own light, which stresses our characters while he bleeds them and causes terror, causing extra stress, which is increased from the darkness, causing Gabe Luke to freak out, while the boss then turns on the light, summons an ad that turns on the light, and cleaves my whole team with the AoE attack buff from the high light that he turns on right before attacking. This was bad. To keep red-blue team alive, I call for a retreat. This is a costly move that could fail, making us vulnerable to an attack, but luckily, everyone gets out. They just all look like massive weenies and will get last pick at the brothel tonight. The first Doom Wheel boss was easy, but the second wasn't mucking about. We needed a new strategy. In theory crafting with my chat, we thought Blight would be our best move forward. Blight damages the enemy each time they take a turn, and this guy gets 3 around. That's 3 ticks of Blight. He also doesn't have great Blight resistance, which we can lower by getting Jack Jazz Hands, our Abomination, to vomit on the Doom Wheel. I shouldn't have to explain why this guy is banned from the brothel. I began leveling up our new Blight-focused team, aimed at killing the Doom Wheel. This team was called Doom Team, led by our new big buff man, Gamer Leader, with our blight damage dealers Dr. Wily Coyote and Jack Jazz Hands, with our healer Livy the Chaotic Furry. Either the boss was doomed or my sanity for having to deal with this team. To level them up, we went on a round the world tour, beating some of the main game bosses, which comparatively were pretty easy. So this was nice to have a more chill time until I remembered what game I was playing. And thus a rat in a trench coat showed up at my hamlet. Dr. Wily Coyote refused to leave the brothel. Nom almost dies, gets rabies, and is banned from the brothel. And Dr. Pullout was instantly killed by the most basic spider enemies. Awesome, dude. Dr. Pullout, he ain't pulling out no more. Oh, we get an attack. Chat, we get an attack. Look at this, their speed is 4. How do they get 8 attacks and we have speed 10 and they have speed 4? Am I speaking crack right now? Am I speaking in tongues? Yeah, sick one, bruv. Dr. Pullout wasn't pulling out of this one, but I was praying Doom Team could pull out a win against the more powerful Doom Wheel. And unfortunately, for him, they did. Jack can blight positions 2 and 3, lowering their blight resistance. And Dr. Wily can blight positions 3 and 4, doing more blight damage. And unfortunately for our local drunk driver, he had parked his clown car in positions 1, 2, and 3, thus being vulnerable to our chuck fart combo. This team had been scrapped together from the bottom of the basement to now being my favorite team. A parent isn't supposed to have favorites, but I do. I rarely had to worry about them fighting against the horrors of the rats. Also, my favorite rat was the warp fire thrower who would randomly explode, hurting you and his allies. Speaking of crack fiends, we now had to fight the higher level Storm Fiend. And with Doom Team, it was easy.
Nice.
The only issue this team has is being shuffled, messing up their abilities, and stress damage. But with the fully upgraded brothel, we could take care of that easy.
Ballsy.
Things were looking up for our heroes and the hamlet. Foreshadowing, the hamlet has been invaded by warlock engineers. The extremely friendly, not party-wiping enemy. This was our first invasion mission, but thankfully Red Blue Team was on the case, completing it without much hassle and being some of our first heroes to reach max level. And this marked the point of no return, as the missions, expeditions, and bosses were also max level. And this hit us in the balls like a truck, as I sent Doom Team to take on the final Doom Wheel. And with how hard the enemies were hitting, Doom Team didn't even get close to the boss, let alone attempt it. I had to call retreat as Livy and Dr. Wily Coyote had both been at death's door after being beaten more than any meat in the brothel, thus giving them huge debuffs for the rest of the run. This was not good, and to make things worse, Patty got syphilis again! Yeah. The Warpstone Mines had beaten us for the moment, but scoring a win in the sewers against the wretched Plague Priests with Red Blue Team would bolster our resolve, and Istvank BC, our first hero, was stabbed in the hood and melted to death while we couldn't heal him. This was a devastating blow to the morale, and thus I hopped off my stream for a break. Returning to the game, I hoped for a better outcome against one of these bosses. I chose the Doom Wheel, and 5 steps in, we were infected with rabies, dealing with the rattling gunner fun antics, and forced to fight the Collector, a random roaming boss with a very low chance of appearing, but I was done fucking about. Thus, he collected these hands as we melted him alive like the hot hot patty package at the brothel. Pressed onto the doom wheel, dousing the lights and stacking crazy blight damage. Darkest Dungeon tried to hit us back with its signature charm, almost one-shotting Gabe Luke, our healer. He swapped out for Livy. I can't remember why, and I'm not even bothering checking my notes. I know it's something to do with the brothel. Finally, every difficulty variation of the doom wheel was defeated. Now we were almost at the end game Skaven bosses. Not base game endgame bosses, I said, as the Bandit King invaded my hamlet. This was a great video idea, YOLO. I'm having so much fun, I said to myself sarcastically. This fight was scary, but twisting this guy's ankle off like an Oreo top rewarded us with epic loot. This is a great part of Darkest Dungeon, that even if your heroes die, their efforts live on in the collection of items you gain and the upgrades to the town, like the blacksmith allowing us to level up our heroes' base damage, health, accuracy, and dodge stats. And here where we can level up character abilities, which our first max level abilities were throwing up and fart bombs. These powerful boons were enough to melt the final storm vermin and ultimately the wretched plague priest and his invasion of the hamlet. These fights were pretty close, but most of our heroes were used to saying that. We now had the final 3 objectives, and these were not repeatable bosses like the rest. The Grey Seer, the Hellpit Abomination, and finally, closing the Warp Portal. First was the Hellpit Abomination, with our best team. I had great faith in Doom Team, as their only weakness was stress damage and being moved around. I screamed at my monitor as the Abomination opened up its chest, revealing its gut face, freaking out my people and shuffling my team. It then proceeded to spew up its organs to help it fight. This, alongside the team shuffle, was bad. It forced us to use Jack Jazz Hand's secret freaky mode, which worked out in our favor as he slammed the violent kidney trying to eat our heroes. Doing so afflicted the boss with a permanent debuff. Maybe fate, maybe coincidence, but negative 100 blight resistance for us is pretty good. This fight was ultimately pretty easy. We did get lucky with the blight doing extra damage, and this critical hit from our furry was great timing.
Because I'm a stud. I'm ballsy.
I had also jacked the whole team up with 12 vials of warpstone against their will before the fight, giving them massive stab bonuses and debilitating addictions. They did complain about ringing headaches, hearing voices, a lust for cheese, and an extra arm, but that's a lot of yapping for a bunch of people inside my computer. Anyway, great fight. A bit too easy for this point in the game, but the mechanics were rewarding for the player, and the visuals of the Abomination were phenomenal. I really hope the Grey Seer fits this vibe, but with just a little more challenge. Foreshadowing is a literary device. Before fighting the Grey Seer, we did a simple money run. It's not something I can say in Darkest Dungeon, as Spooky, our crusader in training, was eaten alive by a giant worm. This caught me off guard, as I thought those activities were limited to the brothel. Speaking of Darkest Dungeon doing its thing, I sent Paddy, Robin, J-Glab, and Nom to fight the Grey Seer. This team comp had potential to hit like Mike Tyson if he was a transformer, so I was hopeful for back-to-back boss kills. Said me, the idiot. As the Grey Seer warped our booty holes, constantly healed, was guarded by the strongest rat ogre who cleaved, shuffled, and stressed the whole team, and upon beating him, the Seer summoned the rat's literal god, the great horned rat who does 100 damage to Nom, making him piss and shit himself silly style, while we were ambushed by the council guard. Powerful storm vermin who can turn invisible. I would like to apologize to you, the viewer, that I did not anticipate the boss could do every mechanic in the game. Green team was cooked, and I want to be very clear. We had not done 1 point of damage to the boss. Sometimes I like to throw out the sentence, "This was bad." Anyway, this was fucked. With Nom's death and being forced to flee, we had lost our best healing items, forcing me to grind the game until I could get more. After multiple runs and excursions, a successful trip to the cove would get us one of the trinkets we needed to even have a chance at another attempt. A quick escapade against a giant crab and the squiffing ghast who tries to maddening shanty us to death, baller move. Finally, we had the healing item we needed to have another swing, and a giant herpes-ridden pigeon stole it. If we don't kill this random boss event, the horrid screecher, we would be back to square one, forcing me to cry and explode. Thankfully, giving Balsack the dog a damage-boosting Bicky and 3 jars of Warpstone did half the Screecher's health in one hit. This game is actually quite rewarding when a giant rat god doesn't do 100 damage to your heroes. Not only did this win us our healing trinket back, but the one Nom had died with as well. I started to scream from the top of my house with joy that I could send 4 idiots back into the balanced and fair fight. That did not stress me out in the slightest. My options for teams were Doom Team or uninstalling the game. That was a joke, as with the remnants of Red, Blue, and Green Team, we could put something together with the powerful Paddy as our front line. Oh wait, he was just melted to death in front of us on a simple money run. Thank you, Darkest Dungeon. I think I'll send Doom Team. With the help of Warp Fire throwers clearing the way, the team made it there with good health and low stress. For this attempt, I'd equipped Gamer Leader with a trinket that would make him immobile, meaning he can't be shuffled from position 1. He was then shuffled the moment combat started. But all jokes aside, the Gracier was in position 3. This is where Doom Team shined. Oh wait, the Gracier's heal cleanses blight. Everyone say it with me. This was bad. We were forced to blight down the rat ogre and pray to the RNG gods that whoever is hit with the 100 damage isn't blighted and our healer gets next turn before the giant cleave damage of the council guard comes through. Gamer Leader is hit 100 damage and 50 stress, testing his resolve.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
He rallies and Livy gets the next go, getting him off death's door. From here we blighted the guards, even landing a blight stun using the Skaven dice that would do random effects on attacks. Maybe RNG was on our side. As he hits us again with another 100 damaging ability, has 30 protection, 45 dodge, 110 blight resistance, could wither a hero making them do negative 500 damage. Critical hit every attack. If every attack is a critical hit, they're just attacks, bruh. To make things worse, the Gracier only took up position 1, meaning we couldn't vomit on him, lowering his blight resistance. Thus, the Plague Doctor wasn't stacking up the huge blight damage that the team was built around. Heroes became stressed, everyone teetered on death's door, and most of our attacks would just miss. I have not been this stressed playing a video game in years. After almost 30 rounds of clinging to life, we whittled down the Gracier, and just for style points, killed him with blight. A huge victory and massive relief this video wasn't going to be stuck in limbo, having to lose hero after hero against this boss. I felt such relief now we only have to close the warp portal, as that's what the quest objective says. I sure hope it's not randomly guarded by the deadliest Skaven assassin Deathmaster Snitch. Foreshadowing is a literary device. I sent in Robin, Jay, Boston Gamer with Bolsack the dog, and Gabe Luke. Entering the dungeon puts you right into the fight. The Deathmaster immediately turns into 4 copies. I attack one down thinking you have to kill each one, then the fight resets. This is the ball under the cup game. You have to keep track of the real one as they use abilities to move them around. Thankfully, 3 of our characters mark targets, so this was pretty cool in theory. And he does heal, so you can't just go off health bars. But if you can keep a mark on him or just pay close enough attention, he's pretty easy to keep track of. With crazy numbers from Balsack the dog, Jay was able to gun Deathmaster Snitch down in the hood. And whatever team this is now was able to close the warp portal and save the hamlet from one of its many problems it faces. 8 of you were lost along the way, and we, the survivors, will thank you for your sacrifice. The first Wednesday of every month at the brothel will be dedicated to you, for your efforts in fighting back the Vermintide, delving deep into dangerous depths, fighting horrific bosses, and transmittable diseases. Shout out to the mod developers, as this was a sick mod, and thank you for watching and the huge support on my last few videos. I truly am so thankful. A special thanks to my Twitch subscribers and YouTube members for supporting my channel, and tune in next time when we enslave Dwarf Society.